Hi. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Subodh, and my wife Lakshmi, and we run a bookstore called Atta Galatta, and we've been fortunate that for the second year now, we've been associated with the Bangalore Literature Festival to give away the Atta Galatta Bangalore Literature Festival book prize. The prize is been awarded in 3 categories: for fiction in English, and non-fiction in English, and for achievement in Kannada literature. We started the process earlier this year when we wrote to publishers, authors, and asked them to send their entries for the prize. And we had about 160 books that were nominated for the fiction prize, which included original works published this calendar year in English, translations, and even self-published books. And we had over 150 entries for the non-fiction prize. We had a subterranean jury of book lovers, published authors that went through this list and arrived at a long list. We had a long list jury that was headed by eminent authors who then helped us arrive at a shortlist. And then the shortlist jury for fiction was headed up by Janvi Barua. And Janvi, can I invite you on stage, please? Through a similar process, the shortlisting jury for the non-fiction prize was done by Manish Sabarwal, but unfortunately he's not in town today. And for achievement in Kannada literature, Pratibha Nandakumar madam, who was the winner of the inaugural Atta Galatta Bangalore Literature Prize for Achievement in Kannada Literature, helped us choose a winner. Pratibha madam. And may I, for today's function, the chief guest who has consented to give away the prize, Sashi Deshpande madam, kindly come up on stage. So to kickstart the proceedings, may I invite Pratibha madam to say a few words and announce the winner for the Bangalore Literature Festival Prize for Achievement in Kannada Literature.
See, it's not, I mean, it's very wrong to say I selected or I selected. Okay. See, I consider this as an honor that our dear friend, and I can almost say Guru, K.V. Tirumalesh, has got the Kannada award for his lifetime. See, actually I should have delivered a big lecture about his contribution, because he has inspired 3 generations of poets in Kannada. And he has always been, he stands apart, you know, when it comes to his, he was staying in Hyderabad and he traveled a lot. So he was not in Bangalore as such, he was not in Karnataka as such, he's from Kasargod. But whatever he wrote is so good. And even now he continues to write. And his Arabi Kavanagalu is something that all of us have celebrated current generation. So for long years, his pen has never, we call it tukku hidillan. So he has continued to write, and so, should I invite him? Yeah. So, I am so sorry, I'm so overwhelmed that I cannot give a proper introduction or do justification to his contribution to Kannada poetry scene. And when you hear him talk, you will know what I mean. Thank you very much.
Sir, will you do us the honor and kindly come on stage, please?
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ. ಇದರ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಸೆಷನ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಪರಕೀಯತೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ನೀವು ಕೇಳಿದರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. ಪರಕೀಯತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಹೇಳಿದರು, ನಮ್ಮದೇ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪರಕೀಯರಾಗೋದು ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದುಕೊಂಡು ಕನ್ನಡಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪರಕೀಯನೇ, ಯಾಕೆಂದರೆ ಹೈದರಾಬಾದ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. I feel sometimes alien to Kannada, which is my language, and Kannadigas, my brothers and sisters, because I am not here. I am not here in the Kannada mainland. I have been living in Hyderabad. But that apart, I must confess that I take the whole humanity as my field, my friends and relations, so there is no problem of that for me. I was in England for a year for study purposes. Before going there, although I studied English language and literature, I became a lecturer in English. And then in Hyderabad, I joined a reputed English institute. All background was there, and I was reading a lot of English literature, teaching and so on, including Shakespeare, Keats and Shelley and so on. I got a British Council scholarship. I was afraid to go to England. England, small group of islands, I know that from my readings, but going there physically and living there for a year actually frightened me. So the preparation started going in all things. I remember now, a needle and thread, these were included in my baggage, because I know needle is something very difficult to find anywhere, including England, or least of all in England. So, but then I told myself, look, after all, they are also human beings like us. They belong to the same earth. So I will manage. And I did manage. And England, where Reading University, where I studied, is part of my homeland, mental homeland. I mean, I remember the streets, and although I don't remember all the human beings, their names and so on, so many years have passed now. But the streets, the topography, and the buildings where I used to go and study, all these things I remember very well. And then I had an occasion to go to America, and I lived there for 2 years. Americans. You won't find people like me in America. Still, I managed there. Americans, they became my friends. I was also teaching there, taking part in a workshop for poetry, also teaching in the Iowa University for 2 years. And that university is my university. That location, topography, and some people. I remember I met a poet there who was a kind of vagabond in a way. I think he was called Phil or somebody, yeah. And we became friends. An elderly person like me, more or less, bearded and so on, wobbling while he's walking and so on. And then I asked him, Phil, where do you live? Oh, I live in prison, he said. Prison? And it was a metaphor he was using. He was living in an old age home, which was right in the center of Iowa University. And he said that he has to go there at a certain hour and come back. So these restrictions, he didn't like. He was a free soul, but he had to live there because he has no home to stay. So that's why he said that he was living in prison. So America is also part of my mental landscape, my homeland. Then for several years I lived in Yemen. Yemen, although on paper it is a secular country, in reality it is not. The Jews minority, you don't find them anywhere now. Christians, you must have read news about how they were attacked, their churches were demolished and so on. The ground reality was different. But face to face, your neighbors and so on, my students loved me and I loved them. Half of them were women in Wales, but very lovable. It doesn't mean that they were, they would come to you and talk to you, and excellent speakers, and with great, urge for studying, especially English. Most of them wanted to go to either England, America, or Germany, France, and so on. Nobody wanted to stay there, unfortunately. But it's a lovely country, very different landscape from what we see here in India, maybe North India, I'm not very familiar with great gorges, and it is like a primitive, the earth was just made. You see, it had not undergone any development, so to say. The raw earth I saw there, and the culture was different. And Yemen, now, there were 4 or 5 years I lived there. The shops, the shopkeepers, their talk, all this is part of me. Hence, Arabic. The poems, all of them don't describe Arabia, but many of those poems I wrote there. And I thought I should call it Arabic. And I have dedicated that book to Yemen. Unfortunately, today, Yemen is in great trouble because of internal conflicts. We all think that if you have one religion, everything is solved. It is not so. People carry their memories, their tribal memories and so on. They quarrel themselves, they fight among themselves, they kill themselves. I've seen them. I had to return from there because of the conflict. Oh, yeah. 1 minute, okay, I'll round up. I have no time. My friends are waiting here. Okay, now poetry. This prize has come to me and you must have been shocked. Why this to me? I don't know. Why this to me? So I remember a novel by Kurt Vonnegut Jr., an American writer. In his famous novel Slaughterhouse-Five, some aliens come and pick up the earthlings. He calls them earthlings, the human beings, for some experiment. They come from space, they pick up 3 of them, the earthlings, and these 3 ask, why us? Why us? And then they say, why us? Why us? See, why you? You're asking, why us? It happens like that. So I think this is a happenstance that has happened to me, and I'm very grateful to JLF and Atta Galatta for this award, which has brought me out of my solitude. So thank you very much for this honor. As the last sentence, as you could see it, it is a heavy award, and I hope I will be able to bear it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Janvi to introduce the fiction shortlist and announce the winner.
I'm honored and delighted to be here today, tasked with the very weighty task of announcing the winner for the fiction prize for the Atta Galatta BLF Book Prize. I've been asked to speak a little bit about each of the books on the shortlist, so please bear with me. I'll take a very little bit of your time. This year, the shortlist was made up of 6 books, very brilliant shortlist. Each book sparkled with its own special light, and that made our job very hard for us to choose that one special winner. In no particular order, I'll read out the names of the books on the shortlist. The Private Life of Mrs. Sharma by Radhika Kapoor, Jihadi Jane by Tabish Khair, 1.2 Billion by Mahesh Rao, A Place of No Importance by Veena Muthuraman, Until the Lions by Kartika Nair, and Paya by Perumal Murugan. In The Private Life of Mrs. Sharma, author Radhika Kapoor pulls us into this world of seemingly simple lady from Delhi. She yanks us into this world, and very soon we are on a very surprising ride with a very surprising, not so simple Mrs. Sharma. And it's a tribute to the skill of the author that through the length of the time one reads the book, one is completely immersed, completely taken along this ride of this extraordinary woman. Similarly, Tabish Khair, in his book Jihadi Jain, accomplishes the very difficult feat of almost making us believe that a young woman from the Midlands in England has written this book. It's amazing how he gets under the skin of this young girl. It's a very relevant topic that he touches upon, the topic of the matter of young people in the West turning to radical Islam and participating in the war for terror, not against terror. A very complicated topic, a very delicate topic, but he deals with it marvelously, and at no point in the book do you ever feel that he is being judgmental of the choices of his protagonist. He's being critical. A very difficult topic is dealt with great compassion and great insight, and this is a must-read book for today's times, especially in today's times. 1.2 Billion is one of the 2 collections of short fiction in this shortlist, and I particularly was very happy about that. There was a time when short fiction books were not allowed to enter certain prizes, and it's wonderful to see two books. This is the first one, and 2 books on this particular shortlist. In this collection, Mahesh accomplishes the very difficult task of setting his stories across India. The 1.2 billion refers to the population of India, and he's set his 13, 14 stories in various states. And one knows how difficult it is to write one authentic short story based in a credible, familiar landscape. But to take on so many and to deal with them so expertly as he has is quite a task. Veena Muthuraman, on the other hand, the second collection of short fiction in this shortlist, sets all her stories in one place, a semi-rural small town in Tamil Nadu, and she changes the pace by setting the stories in different months of the year. A very interesting sort of plot device she does. And her stories are delightful. They delight with the colorful characters, the exuberance, the various facets of human emotion she explores in all her stories. Then comes bigger book, a lengthier book called Until the Lions by Kartika Nair. It is a retelling, recounting of the Mahabharata from the point of view of the voices we don't normally hear from. In this case, mainly women. It's a very moving book, a very tender book, written largely in verse, very, very heart-wrenching, very moving. It's a very compelling book at the end of it all, and it throws a completely different light on this great events that happened so many years ago, what we know traditionally as the traditional Mahabharata. At this point, I'd like to say that any book which goes on to a long list or a short list are actually winners. I really firmly believe that in the end, it's a matter of taste. It's a matter of the mood on a certain day, and it's a matter of just that one particular book moving one's soul or heart a little bit more than the rest. And in this book, in this particular shortlist, the book that's done it is a book called Paya by Perumal Murugan. So I would like to announce the winner as Paya by Perumal Murugan. This is, again, a book which deals with a very, very controversial topic. And all of us are aware of the difficult journey the author has been on in the past, but he doesn't shy away from dealing with another very difficult topic here with great tenderness and in what I found was deceptively simple but such skillful prose. He takes us on this journey of Saroja, who marries into a different caste and thus faces the consequences. I won't give out the story here. I would urge you to read it. It's a small book, very powerful book, and one which richly deserves today's BLF Atta Galatta Prize. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janvi. The author is not here to receive the award, so may I ask Millie Aishwarya to come on stage and receive the award on behalf of Perumal Murugan for Pyre. Unfortunately, Manish Sabharwal, who headed the shortlist jury for the non-fiction, isn't here. So I will quickly read through the books that were shortlisted in the alphabetical name of the authors. Amitav Ghosh for The Great Derangement, Josie Joseph for A Feast of Vultures, Laik Futehali for The Last Englishman, Rajiv Malhotra for The Battle of Sanskrit, Manu Pillai for The Ivory Throne, and Vinay Sitapati for Half Lion. And the winner of the Atta Galatta Bangalore Literature book for non-fiction is Vinay Sitapati for Half Lion. Millie, once again, may I request you to pick up the award on behalf of Vinay. Thank you all, and once again, Sashi ma'am, thank you. Janvi, Manish, thank you so much. Pratibha madam, thank you. And thank you all for attending.